Hello everyone, back with another video today, and today we're doing a bit of a comparison slash review video. I'm going to be comparing two SMG AEG rifles. I'm comparing the Krytac KRISS Vector as a submachine gun, and I'm also comparing the G&G ARP9. I actually recently got this, and I got it in the Battleship Grey color, which I really like the style. But I thought since I've got these two relatively popular SMGs lately, I thought it'd be nice to compare the two. So why don't we get straight to it. So first off the bat, one of the big differences between these two guns is actually the price. The Krytac KRISS Vector comes in at $425 US, whereas the G&G ARP9 only comes in at $210 US. So the ARP9 is basically half the price of the Vector. Now, does that mean half the quality, half the performance? Not necessarily. However, that is definitely something to consider when you're buying these, depending on your budget. Now, just looking at the guns externally, let's have a look at weight and size first. So, weight and size, the ARP9 is very, very light. It comes in at about just shy over 5 pounds, about 5.18 pounds. Very light, very easy to maneuver with, and very easy to manipulate. Much lighter than the KRISS Vector, and for multiple reasons. I think one of the reasons the KRISS Vector actually comes in at 5.73 pounds, which isn't a huge difference. However, because a lot of the weight is here up front, you definitely notice it. It's much harder to hold it with one hand. How often you're going to hold it with one hand, I don't know. However, you definitely do feel a difference in the overall weight between the KRISS Vector and the ARP9. Picking up the ARP9, I can immediately tell there's a huge difference in weight, and it feels much lighter. In terms of quality though, build quality, they're both very similar in terms of how sturdy they are. There's no wobbling in any of the parts. Very clean finish, really solid builds in that case. I do find the stock here is a little bit stiff when I, maybe because it's just brand new out of the box, but I do find the stock quite stiff to slide on the ARP9, but not a real huge deal there. While we're on that topic, why don't we talk about the stock itself? The ARP9 really only has two configurations, either fully retracted like so, or fully extended, if I can get it locked into place, like that. So generally you'll be running it probably in this configuration, unless you really like the gun right up close against your body. In terms of lengthwise, with it fully extended, it's about the same. Again, the Vector comes in a little more, comes in a little longer. The Vector comes in at about 665 millimeters, sorry, not milliliters, and the ARP9 comes in at only 500 millimeters. That's with the stock retracted. But with it extended, I mean, the difference is only really how much the flash hider takes up in terms of the Vector. So not a huge difference in terms of length. Yeah, so why don't we talk about as well as the general feel and build quality and the design of the guns. Vector, as you know, everything's happening up front in terms of the gearbox and piston and all that, whereas the ARP9 has a very much an AR design there. The battery compartments are a little different. The battery compartments for the KRISS Vector is here in the pistol grip, so you're not really left with much battery space. And similarly with the ARP9, if I'll show you the battery compartment, if I take the entire stock off, the battery compartment is in the buffer tube. However, there is a lot going on in terms of the wiring, so you're not left with a lot of space inside the battery compartment. So you might be hard pressed to actually fit one of the longer stick type batteries. I managed to use this 11.1 battery. It's a candy bar pack, so it's small enough that it just about fits in there. In terms of the ARP9, if you do feel like you would rather run a longer stick batteries, you can get a battery extending unit that basically just goes onto the end here. I'll show you really quickly. It's very simple installation. You just take this unit, slot it in like so, and there you have it. You've just basically extended the battery compartment. And fortunately though, when you do that, then you cannot actually retract the stock to its fully retractable state. You can only keep it at its extended state. So you see there, if I pull it back to where it's supposed to be, there you go. So that would be with the battery extension unit there, which then would allow me to add the longer stick type batteries. And to be fair, generally I'm going to be running the gun with the stock extended anyways, so I think that's definitely a viable purchase if you want those longer stick type batteries. In terms of everything else, it comes with iron sights that I think work great in both guns. Obviously the KRISS Vector has licensing all over in terms of the Defiance licensed iron sights as well as the flash hider. Not so much with the G&G. Not sure if that's something that you're concerned with, but if that is, definitely something to consider. The KRISS Vector actually has ambidextrous fire selectors as well as a safety on both sides, which I think is definitely good for CQB environments when you need to switch to different switch to different shoulders to peek around corners. Maybe that might be something that consider for you. The ARP9 only has it on the left side, so nothing on the right. Another thing in terms of the design, the ARP9, you cannot keep the bolt open. You have to hold it back like I'm doing here, and then you can access the rotary hop-up. The rotary hop-up dial is nice and it's tactile. However, what edges it out with the KRISS Vector is that it has also a rotary style hop-up, except it also has numbering on it. So here, easier to just flip it open, and there's actually numbering on the rotary style hop-up, so you actually can remember what setting you have your hop to, which is a nice little touch. In terms of rail space, as you can see, the ARP9 has the M-LOK rails on the 3, 6, and 9 positions on the gun, and then a Picatinny rail along the top. Enough. However, if those of you who like C-clamps, the way you kind of hold the gun there, it might be taking up a lot of space, and then you're not really left with much else. Some people I've seen before add vertical foregrips or grips like that, or maybe just hold the mag well. Definitely something to consider because it's quite a short rail space. And similarly with the Krytac KRISS Vector, same thing. Except for the KRISS Vector, it doesn't actually have railing on both sides of the gun. It only comes with one rail piece. So that would be important then to consider. I haven't really found places, and that was only when I started looking when I first got the gun a few months ago, anywhere that actually sells these rail pieces for the KRISS Vector. They might already be out by now. Don't quote me on that. However, for now I only have the one, so you can either have attachments underneath, on top, or one of the sides, so you have to pick that. I have it on this side purely because I use it for cameras. If you want a PEC box or a flashlight or a laser, whatever, you know, that's up to you how you want to set that up, but I have mine on the right side, so you can easily take that off. Another thing as well is the mag release. With the KRISS Vector, I find the mag release a little bit more difficult. If I take a mag here and show you, as you're shooting the gun, if you would like to reload the gun, the mag release button is here, whereas the mag is down here. So when you're holding onto the mag, in order to actually reach up to press the button, you have to reach up with your thumb while holding the rest of the mag with your fingers, or do it this way with your index finger, instead of just being able to grab the entire mag. So that's a little bit tricky, I find, in terms of the design, and that's just the Vector's design, nothing to do with Krytac or anything they've done there. And that's really if you would rather do it this way or do it this way. So I find that a little bit finicky, especially if you're holding the gun like this. You can actually, your knuckle can depress, as you can see there, can actually depress the button and cause the mag to fall out. Not often, but that's definitely a consideration. In terms of the ARP9 though, very user-friendly. Mag release right here. Just pull that out right there. And an audible click too, which is nice to hear whether the mag's actually clearly in or not. In terms of the fire selectors, both guns shoot in single as well as full auto. The Krytac shoots in 2-round bursts, and the ARP9 actually can also shoot in 3-round bursts, but you have to actually set it, and you change the full auto setting to 3-round bursts by flipping it to full auto and then holding down the trigger for 10 seconds, I believe, and then it will actually switch it between full auto and 3-round bursts. So cool consideration if that's something you want. In terms of ammo capacity and how much you can carry in your magazines, the Krytac KRISS Vector comes with mid-cap magazines that come in 95 rounds mid-cap magazines. Not too bad. Whereas the ARP9 actually comes with a high-cap magazine, a 300 round high-cap. You can get mid-caps, and I definitely got the mid-caps because I just prefer mid-cap magazines over high-cap magazines. I don't like the whole winding thing you have to do. The mid-cap magazines, though, only carry 60 rounds. So a difference of really a third there. You can carry only 60 rounds there, but 90 rounds here in the Krytac's magazine. So a difference there for sure. They both, however, do fit regular pistol pouches too. They're both designed for 9mm in terms of the design. They're both 9mm magazines, double stack, so they do fit regular pouches. Alright, so why don't we take these guys outside and chrono them. Alright guys, so now that we've talked a little bit about the externals and the look and price and all that, why don't we actually see how these guns do perform. So first up we'll have the Krytac KRISS Vector. Let's just make sure you guys can actually see that. Let's try and test the FPS consistency as well as the rounds per second. So first up, the Krytac KRISS Vector. 326, 323, 322, maybe not, 325, 320, 322. So pretty consistent, maybe around a 320 to 325, 320 FPS, not too bad. Let's have a look at the ARP9. Okay, same thing, 0.2s with the ARP9. 354, wow, that's much louder. 357, 354 again, 353, 354. Very consistent there, about 354, so 354 FPS with the ARP9. Alright, since we've had a test of the FPS consistency and generally have a go what the gun is like in single fire, why don't we have a look at it in full auto. Alright, here's the ARP9 up first. Okay, looks like it's shooting at 14.3 rounds a second. Alright, here's the KRISS Vector on full auto. .9, so the KRISS Vector is a little higher there, but it's about 5 rounds per second more than the ARP9. So, as you guys can see, after taking them outside, the G&G ARP9 shoots at about 350 to 355 FPS, pretty consistently around 354. The Krytac KRISS Vector hovers anywhere between 315 to 320 FPS, with a slight deviation of maybe like 3 or 4 FPS. So generally, the Krytac deviating a little bit more in terms of FPS consistency, a few FPS, and the ARP9 pretty steady on at 354. Yeah, I won't do a general accuracy test, unfortunately, because I don't have the space here. However, you're not going to really need these to be shooting long range, as they're designed more for CQB, short range style weapons. So there you have it, guys. Kind of that's all the externals, as well as a bit of a performance testing there for you in terms of the two guns. I myself, I really like both of them. I couldn't really pick one or the other. Fortunately, I do own both of these, so I can kind of swap and play around with each one depending on what I feel like that day. I will have a gameplay coming up where I take both of these guns out, and maybe for the morning I'll play with the Vector, and then the afternoon I'll play with the ARP9, or vice versa, whatever it is. However, in terms of just stock, I think both guns perform very nicely. I do quite like this battleship gray that this ARP9 comes in. I wish the Vector came in that. I might get my Vector Cerakoted. I don't really know yet, haven't decided what color I want it in. But overall, I think both very solid guns. A lot to consider depending on price, the build, the style, quality, both very high quality, and obviously the FPS differs as well. So there you have it, guys. I hope that helps you guys, and I hope that's a good little review for you guys to decide maybe which one you'd rather get. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.